In today's video, we're creating a pop-up that looks just like this with no steps skipped. So if you want to create pop-ups for your site for free that work with Elementor, even the free version of Elementor, then this video is for you. To build your first super fancy pop-up, what you have to do is go into your WordPress dashboard, go to plugins and then add new, and we're going to install a free plugin. Search for Popup Maker. This is the one I like to use right here. They recently changed their image here. It used to be a still image with the gear. Now it's much more fancy. But this is the one right here. 700,000 plus active installs, 5 out of 5 stars on 4,500 ratings almost. Updated 2 weeks ago, compatible with the current version of WordPress. All that checks out. You want to make sure that it's been at least tested recently and it's updated recently to make sure it works with your site. And you also want to maybe back up your site first before you install new plugins. If you need help backing up your site and restoring it, I have a video for that. There's a link to it in the description. When you're ready, click on Install Now and then Activate. And now we have it installed. And there will be this menu item right here called Popup Maker. If you go to All Pop-ups, you will see all the pop-ups that have been created so far. There's some pre-made ones. As you can see here, I'm going to skip the tour. This green toggle here means they're enabled. I'm going to turn all these off. We're going to create our own brand new ones. I'm going to dismiss these notices as well. And really the only places you're going to be playing around with the Popup Maker are the Create Pop-up and Pop-up Themes. The others you might get into if you upgrade to the Pro version. If you want to do that, there's a link in the description. It is an affiliate link, so if you end up upgrading through that link, I do get a credit. It does not make it more expensive for you, but I get a small commission that helps me keep making these videos for free. So what we'll do first is create a pop-up, and then we'll create the theme after. You could do it either way. You can do the theme first if you want, but I do the pop-up first because I want to get the content in there, and then I can make the theme kind of match the content and match the website and match the size of the content, most importantly. So let's create a pop-up. It's going to be a really simple one. It's going to be a call to action for a discount. Let's call this Discount CTA. This first name here is just for your reference. The second field is a title that shows as the headline inside the pop-up. You can leave it blank if you want, or you can type it in here. I'm going to write in here 10% discount. Today's video is brought to you by Breakdance, the modern visual website builder for WordPress. It's easy for beginners to learn and powerful enough for the most advanced professionals. Breakdance is loaded with features, including a premium pre-made template library, a robust form builder, AI content writing capabilities, a versatile pop-up builder, and seamless WooCommerce integration. Whether you're just starting your WordPress journey, or you're a seasoned pro looking for a better builder for your agency, now is the perfect time to build better websites with Breakdance. Try it today and experience the Breakdance difference. And for the actual content for the pop-up, which goes in here, I wrote get 10% off on your next order, click below. And this is going to be a link right here, get 10% off. You could, if you had some Photoshop chops or even Canva, you could create a button image that you can then import into here and have as your image, but I'm just going to keep it as a link just for the purposes of this video. I'm just going to add a hashtag. So it's not a real link yet, but we can see the design of it. Basically just changes color a little bit. And I'm going to center all of this. We have to make sure our title is centered as well once we're doing the theme for the pop-up. But right now we've got the content and it's just super simple because you want to get to the point quick. And in this pop-up, 3 times in this few amount of words, we said 10% discount. So people who want a discount will really quickly realize they're going to get a discount if they click on this link. I'm going to click on publish just to save our work so far. It's always something you want to do. And under triggers, we can tell the pop-up when to open. This is probably the most, the themes are probably the most important. No, both of them. There's 2 competing most important things, I guess maybe 3. One is be brief in your text and get your point across. Number 2 is make it look good. Number 3 is when do you trigger the pop-up. And there's a bunch of options you have. Click on add new trigger. You can have a click to open pop-up. You can have a time delay auto open pop-up or a form submission pop-up, which opens after a form is submitted. I'm going to make it a time delay pop-up. And here you have a checkbox, prevent pop-up from showing to a visitor again using a cookie. I'm going to keep that checked. And this next drop-down defines when the cookie is applied. So on the pop-up close, there's a little X button that they can click on to close it, or a cookie is dropped on the pop-up open, or the form submission, subscription form successful, subscription form already subscribed, manual, or contact form 7 deprecated, use form submission instead. I'm going to choose pop-up close and click add. And for the time delay, I'm going to choose, I prefer a scroll delay. I bet the scroll delay is on the paid version. The scroller here only goes to 10 seconds, but you can go as high as you want. This is in milliseconds. Just divide that by 1,000. That's how many seconds it is. So this would be 17 seconds. For the purpose of this video, because we want to see the pop-up quick when we're working, it's going to have half a second. You do not want generally to have half a second before your pop-up appears because people get annoyed. Cookie name is this right here, pum-1849. You can add your own custom pop-up name or a new cookie if you want. I'm just going to keep the auto-generated one and click on add. And now we have a time delay pop-up that currently doesn't look very good because it's just this text. We haven't styled it yet. Under targeting, we can choose which pages the pop-up will appear on. Here you can select specific pages. I'm just going to keep it on all of them. It might actually be better, maybe this is part of the paid version, to have a selection that allows you to stop it from popping up on certain pages. For example, maybe you don't want the pop-up on the privacy policy page or the terms of service or the refund policy, but you want it everywhere else. And so in addition to having which pages it should appear on, it would be great to have an option to say which pages it shouldn't appear on. You can disable the pop-up on mobile devices and on tablets if you want to. I'm going to keep it active on both of those. For display, this is where we pick the look and the feel of it. You can center the pop-up. You can put it at the bottom right as a slide in, a top bar, a left bottom notice. Choose the one that's appropriate to you. Under appearance, we can choose a pre-made theme, and we can also create our own, which we will in just a minute. And then we can define the size. And these sizes will be based on the screen size. So this would be 60% of the screen width would be what the pop-up takes up. You can have a minimum width. You can have a maximum width. I prefer not to set either of those because I want it to adjust to the screen size. So I just keep it on something in here. This would be something you have to test as well. You got to create your pop-up, make your theme, and then test it to see what works best. Under animation, we can choose different ways for the pop-up to appear. Either have no animation, slide in, or fade and slide. I'll choose that. This is how fast the animation goes. This is 0.35 of a second. So it's pretty quick. Where the animation starts from, top center, I'll keep it at that, top center. You can add sounds. I don't recommend you do that. It's super annoying. Under position, we can choose where it goes. I'm going to say top center. Actually, no, I'm going to say middle center. This would be the position of the pop-up itself. I want it right in the middle of the screen. If you choose this box and you chose under triggers a click trigger, you can position the pop-up right by the click trigger by checking this box. You can also have a fixed position if you want. I'm going to keep those two unchecked. Under advanced, you can disable the overlay of the pop-up. You can make the pop-up stackable, which means that other pop-ups can be open as well at the same time. You can disable repositioning. You can have a pop-up index. This is a super high index, which basically means it's going to be the top level of the website. You're going to see it no matter what. You probably won't have to mess around in here very often, but you have those options there for you. Under close, we can change how the pop-up form closes and its appearance. For the close text, I'll just put an X. Close button delay. If you don't want the button to appear at the same time as the pop-up, you can add a delay if you want. I'm just going to add half a second. The form submission tab is a little different than the trigger option that we saw with the form submission. One of the things you can do with this is put a form inside of a pop-up, like a subscription form for your mailing list, for example. And then if you choose this box here, the submission or the pop-up will close once the form is submitted, as in addition to having the X to close the form if they don't want to subscribe. So that's a pretty cool feature to have. Alternate closing methods. Click overlay to close, meaning the outside of the pop-up form. I'm going to choose yes to that. Click escape to close. I'll choose yes to that. Press F4 to close. Sure, I'll say yes to that too. Because you don't want to annoy people. Pop-ups are annoying. They do convert, but they're also annoying at the same time. So I'm going to give every option possible to close the pop-up so nobody can really complain. Under the advanced tab, you can disable automatic retriggering of pop-up after non-AJAX form submission. An AJAX form is something that's submitted without the website refreshing, which is most contact forms these days. So this will disable the retriggering of the pop-up if you have a non-AJAX form, as in you have a form you submit, the page refreshes, and the pop-up retriggers again, which is annoying. So I'm going to say yes to that. You can also disable accessibility features. I'm going to keep that on because I want to keep accessibility features. And click on update. That's all the settings for now inside of the pop-up creator. We might come back a little bit later, mess around with the triggers so you can see different triggers, and mess around with the display so we can see how that affects our pop-up. The next thing we want to do is define the pop-up theme. We'll do that by going to pop-up themes on the left-hand side. Under the Popup Maker menu, you can go into any one of these themes and customize them. Let's just have a quick look at what they look like. There's a preview in each one. So the default theme looks like this on the right-hand side. The Lightbox theme looks like so. This is the Enterprise Blue. This is the Hello box. This is Cutting Edge. This is the frame border. The border even has, oh, it's a frame. I was going to say it's a gradient, but it's not. It's just a weird looking frame. Floating bar soft blue. And content only for use with page builders or block editor. And as mentioned earlier, we're going to put this pop-up into Elementor. So you can use the free version of Elementor and have pop-up functionality. As you probably know, the pro version of Elementor has pop-up functionality built in, but the free version doesn't. So I'm going to go back to this here after reviewing all the themes for the pop-ups and create a new pop-up theme. That's just for us. I'm going to call it Discount Theme. On the right-hand side, we have our preview. This was the default one, if you recall, and we can change all kinds of stuff. So the overlay is the background. It's currently white. You can change it to whatever color you want. What I like to do is go dark and then change the opacity so you can see they have example text behind it. So you can still see the website there. This prevents, I think, people from freaking out, thinking the pop-up destroyed or replaced the whole website, and they can see the website in the background, so they kind of understand what's going on. You can also have background images with the pro version. Link in the description if you want to check it out. So I'm going to put this up to 64%. The container is the part that contains the text. We have padding, which we can adjust, which gives us spacing on the outside of our text. The border radius allows us to curve our borders. I like the look of this nice big curve with the square on the right. I like that look. For the background, we can choose a different background color if we want. Choose whatever color you need. We're doing all black and whites here, but you can choose colors. I'm going to choose something minty, like that one. The opacity, you can change that as well, so you can see the website coming through. I'm not going to do, actually, I'm going to do that. So it's pretty cool. I'm going to have it pretty high though, opacity of 84. So you can see the background coming through, but it's not so much that you can't read the words. For the border, this is the border of the container that contains the pop-up. You'll see what I mean when I add a border and change the thickness. So you can see the border being added, the black border. You have lots of border options. Even a ridge. Ridge looks funny. Hard to explain, but it's like chops up the color. I don't know. It's like a double border. I can't explain it. I'm going to choose no border, but you have border options. Drop shadow. I kind of like that because that looks like the pop-up is popping up off of the background. When I change the opacity, you can see there isn't much of a drop shadow right now. If I put it to 100%, it's like just this dark part just a little bit. So I'm going to change the vertical position to be more and the horizontal position. Both of those. So it looks like it's really standing off. Going to blur it a little more, spread it out a little more, and then change the opacity. And at any time after you've launched the pop-up or before you launched it, you can come back in here and adjust these things. So it's no big deal. Whatever you put in here is not set in stone. You can make adjustments. For the title section, we can style the title. I'm going to keep it as mostly what we have here. I'm going to align it to center, and I'm going to make the text bold. And that's about it. But you can have lots of fonts to choose from. There are fonts that are safe, like Arial, Helvetica, sans serif. Those are safe for most browsers, so the font will appear exactly how you design it. The unsafe fonts are all these other ones that people might not support in their browsers or on their computers, which means that they'll just revert back to a different style font. They'll still see the text, but it won't be the exact style that you're looking for. Text shadow allows you to apply shadow to the headline. If I change the horizontal and vertical position, you'll see what I mean. It really stands off. I'm going to keep these both at 0, so there's no text shadow. That's all there is for the title tab. For the content tab, this is the written text down below the title. I'm going to change the font color to black. I would like to add a little more spacing between the title and the font, or in the text, but I can't here. I'm going to keep that as it is. Just change the color. The close button on the right here has lots and lots of options. It has the word close currently. You can also just make it an X. I'm going to make it an X. I'm going to leave it in the top right. You can position it outside of the container if you want. I'm not going to. I like that sharp corner. And it throws it way up off the preview even. So you might not want to use that one. I'm going to keep it in the top right as I said. And you can move it around as well by adjusting the top and the right. I'm going to keep these both at 0. So it's right in the top corner. The size of the button, I want to make it less of a vertical rectangle. See if I can do that. I don't know if I can, but you can change the border radius for just the button. That's fun. Background is the color behind the X, and the opacity you can change here if you want. This is the font for whatever is your closing text. This is a border that goes around the close button. Keep that as none. This is a drop shadow. I'm going to put this to 0, so there's no drop shadow, or as little as possible. Put the opacity to 0. It's easier. Text shadow allows you to add a shadow to the text that's in there. For example, like that. So the X is floating in the air. I'm not going to mess with that. Put the opacity to 0. And now we have our style done. Go down to the bottom, click publish in the bottom right. And now we go back into the pop-up we created. No, go to all pop-ups. This will be our list of pop-ups. This is our discount CTA. Click on edit and go to display, appearance, choose our discount theme, and then update to save it. And now because we have the trigger set to be a time delay trigger, this should open very quickly after we visit the website. So let's visit the website. And there it is. It came in from the top. Beautiful pop-up. Looks pretty enormous relative to the amount of text we have here. We have a link. This would be much better as a button, clearly. You can also add CSS actually in here. So we go to the text tab. We could make this a button by adding inline CSS. Just type in style equals open and close quotes, and you do something like this. And we'll save that and see how that button turns out. I'm not going to close the pop-up because then it'll be cookied and it won't display again for a while, for up to a month actually. Let's see if our CSS, look, it's a bit of a button. It's at a border radius. Obviously you don't have to style it with CSS, but you can. You can even go to many websites on Google and just copy and paste the CSS to make a button. And there it is, we got a button. I'm going to reduce the width of the pop-up because it's a little large. So let's go to display. Let's go to size. We can't adjust it on a micro level. Let's do auto. Actually, that should shrink it to be just the size of the text and plus the padding that we set. Let's refresh the page. There we go. That's pretty solid. So I was messing around and I clicked the X and my computer was cookied, so I can't see the pop-up anymore for 1 month because that's what our cookie trigger is set to. If you're developing a pop-up, that's super annoying. You're not going to be able to get your work done. So what I'm going to do instead is remove both of these triggers, and I'm going to add a new trigger. It's going to be click to open, and I'm going to not prevent the pop-up from cookieing my browser. So it's going to click to open all the time. And you can have a CSS selector that you set here, which I'm going to do. Let's do pop-up. That's an easy one. Add that, update it. And now, instead of having a pop-up that appears wherever people are on your website, because it's a time delay, this has to be added specifically to pages or posts. So let's go to add new page. I'm just going to call this home page. And for the text here, I'm saying this is the home page and this is a pop-up. And if we see on the right-hand side here, we have pop-up controls. We can open that. We can choose to open a pop-up. We can choose which one. And then when this block is clicked, that pop-up will pop up. So you can do this for images and things like that. Instead, I'm going to highlight this as a pop-up, click this down arrow, click pop-up trigger. Which pop-up should this open? Discount CTA, enter, and then publish, and publish again. And now it'll be just the text. This is a pop-up that will trigger the pop-up. To view that page, click on here, pop-up drops in, and now you can design it and customize it to your heart's content, knowing that A, it's not going to appear all over your website, and B, it's not going to cookie your browser, and then you won't be able to see it again for a month. Then you've got to mess around to get the pop-up back while you're trying to develop it. So that's a good option for development. Also a great option to have on your site. You could have a request a quote link and then click on it, and then the pop-up pops up. Something else to consider is we added a CSS class to our pop-up. The CSS class was .popup. So with this method that we just went over here, you have to physically go into each page and add the pop-up where you want to add it. You can also just add a button. Let's put that set of buttons there. I don't know. Grab your discount. So this is now a button that we can add a CSS class to. Go to advanced, additional CSS classes right here, type in pop-up, save it. Let's view this page again. Grab your discount, click on that. Discount pops in, or the pop-up pops in, I should say. So you can have this button appear throughout your site. You could use, for example, a page builder to create a template that puts a button throughout your site, and that button has the specific CSS class of pop-up, and then it'll trigger pop-up every time. Now, if you want to add this to Elementor, that's just as easy. I have just the free version of Elementor installed. To prove it to you, go to plugins, and you will see Elementor, get Elementor Pro, and it's just the free version. So we can go and add a new page again. Click on Edit with Elementor. In here, I'm going to search for the button widget, drag and drop that in, grab your discount for the button text. Under Advanced and CSS classes, I'm going to type in Popup, which was a CSS class we added inside the Popup builder. Let's save that. Let's have a look. Click on this button here and Popup pops in. What if you don't want to use a button though? How can we make this still work? Well, you can add a text widget or text editor, and we have text here, but there's no easy way to add a CSS class to just one item, because you go to advanced, you can add a class to the whole thing. So you click anywhere. Let's try that actually. You should be able to click anywhere on this text now and have that trigger a pop-up. Let's click right here and it pops up and makes the whole thing, make the cursor change into a link. It's kind of weird. But what you can do, instead of doing that, do it the hard way, which isn't that hard, but go to the text editor, put your cursor somewhere, add a span tag, open and close span, which is just a simple HTML tag. If you don't add any other code to the span, you won't even notice any changes on your website. And here we add class equals pop-up. So now just these three words will have the pop-up associated with them. Publish that. Let's see how that looks. All the rest is just text. And once you get to these last three words, boom, triggers pop-up. You might want to change the color of these three words. Again, you can do style, open and close quotes after the equals, and change the color to blue. And then let's add a text decoration, underline, and that should add an underline. There it is right there. And there we go. Pop-up ready. Looks like a link. You can even add hover styles with CSS, no problem. In fact, all the effects you see page builders create, those are all just CSS. They just make it so you have to click buttons in the editor versus just learning simple bits of code like this, but it's all the same stuff. And then once you've done all this development, don't forget to go back into the website and change the trigger. If you don't want to be click trigger, because we changed it to that just so we can do the development, make sure you go back to your Popup Maker, go to all the pop-ups, edit your pop-up that you're working on, change the trigger back to the time delay, or just keep it as click to open, whatever you need. If you got value from this video, consider subscribing and liking to let me know. And then check out this playlist right up here, which is all about improving your WordPress skills and your WordPress know-how. So make sure you check that out. My name is Bjorn from WP Learning Lab. Till next time, keep crushing it, and I will see you in the next video.